How do you go from a theoretical state of saying, yes, I know I need to let go and I'll try to let go and I'll try to have faith, but you just can't, to really letting go and allowing and seeing the magic happen in your life, because it is magic. Hi, I'm Liam Naden, and welcome to my podcast, Let Yourself Off the Hook. As someone who has studied success for decades, I have found the formula for achieving your dreams and goals, and it's all to do with how you use your brain. Each week on my show, I will provide you with the tools, resources, and expertise to utilize your brain to its ultimate potential and remove the barriers to your success. And as you will discover, true success in every area of your life only comes when you let yourself off the hook. We've all heard of the phrase, you have to let go. Don't struggle, just allow things to happen. Believe, know that things will turn out well. Just let go. But so few of us do it, don't we? Why is that? Even if we think, or even if we can logically understand that it's probably a good idea, that we'll probably feel a lot better if we just try and let go of our thoughts and our actions and our struggle. Even though we think that it might be a good idea, virtually none of us do this. And why is that? I mean, most of us think that letting go means to give up and to accept failure rather than try and achieve what we want. But this isn't what letting go really means. And in fact, when you let go, you might find yourself putting in more effort to reach your goals or solve your problems, but the difference is you actually get what you want. You achieve the right result. Because letting go actually means that you get results rather than struggling not to get results. And most people fail to reach their goals not for lack of trying, but for lack of letting go. So in this episode, we're going to look at the real meaning of letting go, what it actually is, and how you can use this concept, this principle, to really see a massive improvement in every or any area of your life. And you're going to find that really letting go, understanding what it is and applying it, it not only gives you what you want, but you find your life is so much more rich and fulfilling. So firstly, let's just think about this concept of letting go, which I said at the beginning we've all heard of, but virtually none of us apply it. And the reason we don't apply it, I think, is we don't really understand what it means. But of course, the concept or the teaching of letting go and allowing, it's been with us throughout history. All spiritual and religious traditions talk about this. They also call it faith. It's about having belief and trust in a higher power, a God, if you like, something greater than ourselves, who's there, who loves us, who wants the best for us, and who can get for us what we want, if we trust, if we believe, if we have faith. And many of us, perhaps even most of us, we have some sort of religious belief or perhaps a spiritual concept of something greater than ourselves, but we find this very difficult to do. We find it very difficult to really let go, really believe, really trust and have faith. And we say things to ourselves like, well, if I want to solve a problem, I have to work at it. I have to find the answers. I have to figure out what to do, and I have to take massive action to solve this problem or to reach my goal. I can't just sit in a corner and meditate and believe or allow it to happen. That's just not going to work. And if you've tried sitting in a corner, visualizing, believing, and trying to let go, you know that doesn't work either. But here's an important concept to realize, and it took me a long time before I got this one, and that is there's a big difference between effort and struggle. Between effort and struggle. And you really have to become very clear about what that difference is and put effort into your life, but avoid struggle. You know, struggle is, I'm sure you know what struggle is, but it's exhausting, it's damaging, it's hard work, both physically and mentally. And we don't get very good results from that. We just seem to spend our time working, struggling, not really making much in the way of progress. And I'm sure you've experienced that, or maybe you are experiencing that right now in your own life. I certainly did for many years. But maybe you've also had the experience, maybe not very often, but maybe you've had that experience where you've been putting in effort, but it hasn't been a struggle. It's had a different sort of energy about it, a different feeling. Yes, you've been putting in an effort, but things have been going well. Maybe you've been making great decisions. Great things have been happening. All of the things have been falling into place at the right time. Other people have come along and helped you, perhaps often unexpectedly. But everything is like being what's often described as being in the flow of life, when you feel energized and good and things are working well. Now that's actually our natural state of being, is being in that flowing state. And I talk about this in previous episodes of the podcast in more detail. But it is our natural state. But the problem is, because of the way we're using our brain, because we're not using this flowing machine or what it's designed to do in the right way, that's why we end up with struggle, and that's why we so seldom experience this natural flow state. And one of the reasons it's a natural flow state is, I'm sure you'd agree, that when you experience this, it feels natural. It feels really good. It doesn't feel like a struggle. It feels like your life is flowing. So what we want to be able to do is to access this state more and more. And one of the ways to do this, one of the main ways to do this, is to understand the difference between letting go and struggling. And again, as you probably have already experienced at some time in your life, don't you get much better results when you are energized, when you are in the flow, when things are going well, when you're feeling good rather than struggling? You know, one of the things I used to do a lot of when I was struggling all the time, always trying to achieve more success, worried about what was going on, and really trying to put in as much effort, which was really struggle, as I could. One of the things that always baffled me was how many dumb things I used to do, how many bad decisions I made. And often I'd say or feel, hey, I'm doing the wrong thing here. I shouldn't be doing this. But I still went ahead and did it anyway. And of course, turned out to usually not be the wrong thing. So why did I do that? Why did I carry on struggling, thinking I needed to force things to happen when it didn't work? Well, it's because I didn't understand how my brain works and how it's literally designed to keep me in the flow, getting me to do the right things, getting me to be motivated and excited and inspired with right information and right action, and therefore get much better results. And it's only when I learnt that by accident that my results really started to change. And not only my outer results, but my inner results. I started to feel a lot better about my life, about myself. I started to feel excited about life, fulfilled. And surely that's the purpose of life, isn't it? Okay, so this whole concept of letting go, allowing. How do we do that? Well, there are actually 7 steps in a process to letting go, which I'll share with you shortly. But first, I think it's really important just to reiterate how you let go, what actually happens, this flow state that we get into that I've just mentioned. How do you achieve that? What's literally happening on a biological level when you're in that state of peak performance, peak production, which is also a peak state of allowing and letting go? Well, it's all to do with how your brain works. And you might recall from previous episodes that there are 4 parts to your brain. I have a 4-part brain model which I've developed, which shows you exactly how your brain works and is designed to work when it's working at peak efficiency and you're getting the best results. Check out my website, liamnaden.com, because I have a complete description there of how the 4 parts of your brain work and what they actually are. But when you give up the struggle, when you start letting go, what you're doing on a biological level is you're shifting brain states. You're shifting control of your life from one part of your brain, a very limiting part of your brain, to a very powerful part of your brain. You're shifting from your survival brain, which is all to do with survival from danger, reaction to problems, and keeping you stuck. You move to using your creative brain, the part of your brain that's the problem-solving part, the intuitive part, the knowing part. And letting go and allowing your life to unfold, that automatically deactivates your survival brain and activates your creative brain. And that's why you see much better results when you start doing this. Because you literally do, as I just mentioned, you move from a struggle, stuck, can't see the solution, confused, worried, stressed state. You move to a state of intuition, creativity, imagination. You see opportunities. You see things in a different way. And it's not because those things weren't there. It's just because the way you're using your brain wasn't able to show you what was actually there. So this is the goal, I think. This is the state we want to achieve. This state of being in the flow, allowing our life to unfold, taking the right necessary action when the times come, and allowing our brain to really bring to us what we need to be our best, which is its biological function. All right, so how do you do that? How do you go from a theoretical state of saying, yes, I know I need to let go and I'll try to let go and I'll try to have faith, but you just can't, to really letting go and allowing and seeing the magic happen in your life, because it is magic? Well, here are the steps. And the first step is to accept yourself. Accept yourself. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, the reality is that most people don't accept themselves. They don't accept who they really are. They want themselves to be different somehow. They see these faults that they have in their personality, even in their physical body, and they try to shut off even looking at themselves because they think there are so many problems or so many imperfections in their life. But the truth is, you are perfect as you are right now, and you need to accept that fact. It is the truth. So start to think about who you really are and start to see the perfection that is within you right now. What are the great things about you? What are you lucky to have about in your physical body, in your mind? What's great about you? There's so much that's great about you. Accept where you are. Accept yourself for the perfect being that you are. That's the first step. The second step is to accept the past. You know, so many of us are filled with regrets or bad feelings about the past. We wish things had been different to the way they were. Maybe we're living with things at the moment that we think, you know, if I'd only done something different, my life would be so much better than it is now. Perhaps your marriage or your relationship, you might be thinking, oh, I've made so many mistakes, I've done so many wrong things, and that's the cause of all my problems right now. My business could be so much better, or maybe I could have chosen a better career or some better outcomes in my life. And you feel these feelings of regret, bitterness, sadness, sometimes even anger about what happened in the past. But here's the thing about the past. And just like you are perfect, everything about you is perfect. And all you need to do is to start to see that, because that's the truth. Everything about the past and your past is perfect as well. These things you call mistakes, things that you wish you'd done differently, aren't they just lessons? Aren't they things that you can say, I really learned from that? And if you haven't said it up until now, I've really learned from that, well, that's a great exercise. Look at the things that you're sad or regretful about in your past and say, what was good about that? What did that teach me? How did that help me in my life? And most importantly, to say, how has it helped me to get to where I am right now? Because here's the thing about your past. If there'd been one single thing different about anything in your life, you wouldn't be here right now. You wouldn't be listening to me. You wouldn't be this perfect person that we know from the previous step that you are. You are in exactly the right place at the right time. All you need to do is to see that. And when you do start to see that, which again is the truth, you're going to feel a lot better, and you're going to start activating your creative brain and getting much better results and getting more of the perfection that is already in your life. So it's so important to accept the past. Look at everything and anything that makes you feel bad about the past and look at it differently. Ask better questions. And I've talked about this in previous episodes of this podcast about this concept, but see the perfection in everything, because there is a perfect side to everything. You just need to be able to see it, which means you need to start looking for it because it's there. The third step is to accept the present. Accept the present moment as it is right now. And this is a little bit like the first step where you accept yourself for who you are right now, but there's more to the present moment, isn't there, that we don't accept. We don't accept what's going on in the world. We would like things to be different. We see all these problems happening in the world, which are really our perception of what's going on in the world. We see these problems, we want things to be different. We want things to be different in our own physical environment. Maybe we want to be in a different relationship or a better relationship. Or we want to be in a more successful business or have a better career. Maybe we want to be living somewhere different to where we are. But again, not accepting the present moment is really just a flaw in our perception. We're not allowing ourselves to see the truth. And the truth is, you and me, we're in the perfect place right now. We're in a perfect world. If you really want to see the truth of the world, start looking at all of the amazing things that are present in our world right now. Just look out your front door and see all of the lovely people who are in your environment, who are all getting on with their lives, doing their best, friendly and happy. Or maybe not always happy, but certainly friendly. Most of the time you can go up to a stranger and say, "Hi, how are you doing?" And you're going to get a positive response because people at heart are loving, are good. This is the reality of the world. This is the reality of the present moment. So start looking for that. That's the third step. And the fourth step is to accept the future. Accept the future. What do you think about when you think of the future? You know what most people think about? They're worried. They think bad things are going to happen. They think that if they don't solve these problems or their problems, or if the world doesn't solve its problems, disaster is going to befall them and the world. That's their expectation that bad things are going to happen. But you need to accept that the future, like the past and like the present and like you and everything around you, the future is perfect as well. It will be perfect. If all of the past and all of the present has been perfect, why wouldn't the future be perfect? At some point the future is going to become the present, and after that it's going to become the past. So the future will always be perfect as well, because it always has been. And just like the past and just like the present, you will know that everything that is going to happen in the future is going to be what's best for you. It is all going to turn out for the best, just like it already has. And I know sometimes people say to me, well, it's all very well for you, Liam, to say there are no problems in the world and to say that you don't have any problems and that nobody has any problems. But really, when you think about it, what is a problem? A problem is something that makes you feel bad. And if you can change the way you look at it, if you can change your perception so that it doesn't make you feel bad, it can't be a problem anymore. Again, I've covered these in previous episodes, but if you really think about that concept for a moment, imagine if you're in the situation where you didn't enjoy your job, or you weren't making enough money, or your business was failing, and you got to the point of such pain that you had to quit your job, go and do something else, give it up, or even you lost your business. But what would happen if after that you found a much better job, something that was really fulfilling for you. Or you found a better business, one that didn't cause you stress and problems and made you all the money and gave you all the freedom and everything you really wanted and made you feel truly fulfilled and happy. Now, when you look back on the problem of not being happy or not having a great business and you lost both of those and you went on to something better, if you look back on it, wouldn't you say, the real problem was I didn't give it up soon enough. It wasn't a problem. In fact, I wouldn't have given it up. I wouldn't have sold the business or done something different if that problem hadn't existed. So it was a good thing that it happened. I look back on my life when I went from being a millionaire and having everything that successful people would want, I guess, to being homeless. And many people would say, well, being homeless is a real problem. Losing everything is a real problem, not knowing where you're even going to sleep at night or how you're going to earn any money for food, which was literally where the situation I got to. Many people would say, well, that's a really big problem. I would never want to experience that. But it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because that's how I learnt about this stuff, about how I was going down the wrong track with all my not letting go, forcing things to happen, not accepting myself, not accepting the past, beating myself up all the time about the things that I've done wrong, not accepting the present, always wanting things to be different to what they were, always trying to force different outcomes and force things to be better. And I was terrified of the future. But I learned to let go of all of those things. But the only way I did learn to let go of them was through the experience of actually losing everything. So was that a problem or was it a good thing? It was a great thing in hindsight. And that's the thing about the past, present, and the future. From a different perspective, it will always be what's best for you. So that's step number 4. Step number 5 is to replace faith or hope with knowing. And this really leads on from the previous 4 steps, which is to move yourself from a place of hoping, wishing, wanting, telling yourself you have faith when you don't really, but struggle, to knowing. And that knowing really comes from what we've been talking about knowing the truth about the past, knowing the truth about yourself, knowing the truth about the present moment, and knowing the truth about the future. So the more time you spend on this, this inner work, if you like, this inner game, which is really a battle between you and your thoughts, the more time you spend on this, on the inside, the better things will get on the outside. And this is the true meaning of what it says in the Bible. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added. Because the kingdom of heaven, as the Bible says, is within you. It's in here. So seek first to understand and be a part of and inhabit the kingdom of heaven, which is this perfect place where you're using your creative brain to be in the flow of life. Seek to be there first, and you'll make the right decisions. The right things will happen in your life. Magic will happen in your life, which is what we're promised through faith as well, isn't it? But all of these great things are going to happen when you move from a state of hoping, wishing, wanting, and trying to believe to knowing. And that can only come through this work on your inner self. And from that comes step number 6, which is simply to allow the present moment to unfold. Get in the flow of the present moment. Release everything else. So it means don't focus on outcomes. Don't focus on where you think you want to go. Don't focus on what you think the steps might be. Don't focus on what you think the problems might be, what you might need to overcome. People sometimes say, or very often say, I need to prepare for things. If you release the future, you will do the right things at the right time, including the right preparation if and when you need to do it. So allowing this moment to unfold, instead of all those things, what it really means, focus on where you are right now and take the next step. Say to yourself, what do I need to do right now? If you listen to a previous episode in which I discuss procrastination, this is the way to overcome it. Just take the very next step. That's all you need to do. People say this is very difficult to do, but something's only difficult when you don't understand how it works. But if you understand how your brain works, that your creative brain is there to make sure that everything happens the right way in the right moment, then it's not difficult to do. In fact, you say to yourself, why did I ever do it any other way, when you start to get really good results this way? So one of the things to do is to let go of a need for certainty. A need for certainty to know what's going to happen in the future and to be planning for it and preparing for it. That comes from being stuck in your survival brain. It's not a part of your creative brain. Just know things are going to work out well if you take the next step. And that, of course, is the key. You actually have to take the next step, not just think about it. You actually have to take lots of action. But you do it in a flowing way, and you do it one step at a time. And this thing about certainty, the opposite of certainty isn't uncertainty. It's acceptance of the truth of what is real right now. And you can only see that when you let go, when you allow your creative brain to take over. And the seventh and last step is really to understand what it is that you're letting go of. And it's really only one thing. What you're letting go of is fear. Fear is at the core of every bad feeling that you have, of every frustration that you have. You're worried about the future. You're afraid of the future. You're afraid of accepting the present moment. You're afraid of just letting go of the past and seeing that that was perfect as well. And above all, of course, you're afraid of letting go. You're afraid of feeling that perhaps you won't be in control, that bad things will happen to you because somehow you're letting go of or giving up your control of your life. But the opposite happens, because when you let go and replace fear with understanding of how you actually work and who you actually are and what your life has been, is, and will be, when you understand that, you don't feel fear anymore. You know that everything's perfect. And you start to things in a much more empowering way. And you get much better results. Because the opposite of fear is not faith. The opposite of fear is understanding. Now, this whole concept of letting go and allowing through understanding how it works, it's a different concept, isn't it? It's a different way of living. It's certainly a very different way than most people are living. And it's probably a very different way of living that you yourself have experienced. But give it a try. Start to develop your understanding. Start to really examine some of these questions that I've been posing to you, or these ideas, and really start to go inside yourself and questioning all of the things that are making you feel bad or that bring stress into your life and into your thoughts. Really start understanding yourself and changing your perception. Because the name of the game really is to focus on changing yourself on the inside and allowing the things that you want on the outside to come to you, rather than focusing on what you think you want on the outside, trying to get those so that they're going to make you feel good on the inside. I tried that for a long time, and probably you're trying it as well. And if you're really honest, it doesn't work, does it? Because things will change when you change, not the other way around. The 13th century Sufi mystic Rumi said, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself." So profound. And the great thing is, this makes life so much more worthwhile living. You're replacing struggle with true effort and true progress. And you realize that the truth is another one of these truths, another one of these perceptions that's hidden from us when we're not using our brain the right way, when we're not allowing, when we're not really letting go because we don't understand how it works and understand this process, is you realize that all along life is actually trying to work for you rather than against you. Life is set up to try to ensure that you are the best that you can be, that you contribute the most to this world and to yourself, that you're in harmony with really what is an incredible natural world. And that we're connected to an intelligence that's so much greater than what we think we are. And we connect to this intelligence through our brain. Our brain is, if you like, the connecting instrument, the connecting mechanism. So in other words, there's a greatness and a perfection of everything, including your life. A greatness and a perfection that you weren't aware of, but really has always been in control of your life and always will. And it's there to make your life experience one of joy and fulfillment. Because really, when you think about it, that's what living is all about. This is Liam Naden signing off. Thanks for watching. But before you go, there's some action to take. Hit the subscribe and like buttons and leave your thoughts in a comment below. I'd love your feedback. And if you have friends who you think would benefit from this, please share it with them. Thanks again for your support, and stay tuned for more from me, Liam Naden. And remember, you can only reach your full potential when you let yourself off the hook.